Pixie. What do you want? Wait, you want me to do what? Well, you see, I've been drawing all day, and my hands are pretty sore, so I can't even pick up a shovel, so I just don't think I can do any of that, you know? So as I was doing some commissions in adoptables, I remembered a fair few stories that I hyperfixated over for months. And then I just forgot about them afterwards when things caught my attention. And the more I remembered one story, more stories from the past were dug up. Rather, a lot. Over 3 days, as I was doing this video. So, what's a better time than to just, ramble about something that probably is so stupid and probably has been done for many times, and then just brain rot about it once again. But first, an introduction to who I am, because you probably just stumbled across this video randomly and saw Minecraft and went, ooh, shiny. My name is Mac. You're already from DeviantArt, or of course, came across this video randomly from some suggestions. I'm a digital artist who just exists on the internet and tends to the flowers in the exhibit. Hey, I told you to get off from there! I can be seen actively on DeviantArt by making adoptables or working on commissions or just doing my own thing, but I am trying to branch out onto other platforms. So if you want to see what I draw or what I sell, you can find a link tree in the more about me or in the description of the video. Since this channel is sort of an oddball with things like book reading or sometimes speed paints, if I'm able to get those working, I'm a little afraid of them because of the incident. I want to make sure this channel is at least a little bit more useful than it is. So I should probably get right into what I will be talking about today, and that is, of course, making a Minecraft story. The story I will be bringing back from the dead momentarily is a short series called The Minecraft Logs. It's a story based on real events in Minecraft, mostly my experiences in-game, and a little bit of my friend's experience, who I will be nicknaming V. It was really only a fun experience at the beginning, no overall arcing story or warlike plot you'd see in some or most SMPs. It was during the middle of our experience that I decided it would be fun to turn it into a comic series, and thus the Minecraft Logs cover came into existence. There wasn't a lot of planning behind the characters, aside from making them unlike our character skins at the time. It first started back in February 22nd, 2021, while I was in high school. I kept a notepad of what happened to me, and also tried to keep track of what happened to my friend. But I have long since lost that notepad, and it was on a different computer. So events after the comic ended, may be a little messy, but I'll do my best to remember some events. The first comic page was also the same day, introducing the main characters of the story, Player and Sunny F10. And the last page debuted on December 5th, 2021, before its production was stopped. I don't remember why I stopped it. However, I could theorize that I struggled with paneling and using the brushes properly on Fire Alpaca. Beginner comic artist and stuff, it always gets ya. Since then, I haven't thought about it much until later down the line, when I did a page redraw of one of my more popular pages from the short series. This was, by the way, all on Tumblr, and it's still there, so that'll be in the description too if anybody's curious on how it began and how it ended. Since then, I admittedly did think about it here and there, but it was just fleeting thoughts of wanting to start it up again. And since a lot of time has passed and more things were added to the game, and maybe sort of quite recently, I forgot what day this version was released, I've always wanted to try and start it up again for the sake of, I don't know, nostalgia, and also see what I can come up with for the new editions. I did talk to V about playing the game again, and they certainly agreed with me about playing it again. But they're a bit busy at the moment, so it might just come true? We don't know. Since I mulled over the idea of this video, I decided to record myself redesigning the characters while I chat about who they are and why these characters were used, instead of using the character skins. I'll be using the abbreviation TML for the Minecraft vlogs, so it wouldn't get too repetitive and, you know, gives me a tongue. Gives me a tongue, yeah. I steal people's tongues. From here on out, I'll be using the abbreviation TML for the Minecraft vlogs, so it wouldn't be too repetitive and a little long. When I first started drawing them, I wanted to first get a body type down. The body type stayed consistent between all iterations, from the series to a minor redesign to recent development. The big differences being that these guys now have fingers instead of stumps. I mean, look back at the old panels. They were pretty bad. Admittedly bad. What are these? These are awful. Throw it away. Into the trash you go. No wonder why I stopped working on you. Bad. It had improved later on, but I still didn't like it. Even though it's easy, I want to express the hands because when I talk, I throw my hands around to emphasize something I'm passionate about, and sometimes I get a little self-conscious about it when I'm in the middle of doing it, but whatever. The torso itself is also something I had to change too. Although still blocky, I wanted them to have the same body type. I also made two types of outfits that I currently believe make sense to me, being that without armor, wild hair, and similar looking, they are labeled as spawned. The other label, after the player spawned and found or made settlement, are called established. I'll get into the details later, but for now this is a recent addition to the world building. Yes, there's world building. I can't stop myself from doing it, because it's fun. I like to think. Before, there wasn't anything complicated about it, just silly slice of life sort of style, with additional text added by player themselves in the description of the blog post. I decided in the middle of redesigning the main two that I'd make two additional characters, who I'll explain who they are after I talk about the main two a little more. Player, the character that acts out what I experience, is the one who makes the logs and is essentially the one who acts like a leader. There was supposed to be a whole arc over just getting pets, as Sunny, the character who was used for V's perspective, had a goal right off the bat to make an animal army. Player started out as a wide-eyed character compared to later on, being more moody. This wasn't a reflection of me. I figured after Player being in so many situations and getting screwed over, they simply stopped caring, because there was quite a lot that happened during it that wasn't put into the comics, but I might remember the experience a little bit, and oh my god, there was so much. Sunny, on the other hand, was more bright-eyed and cheerful, and I didn't think too much about her character other than being betrayed by Player. She sort of just stayed the same after the comic was over, and it was just little moments here and there. Her color palette was directly linked off of an OC from another series unrelated to this one. I'm pretty sure I can find it again, but I'll put it on screen if I ever find it. For the new characters, these two were older designs from a different thing, way before TML. Their names are Alexander and Rael. They're not really important to any significant character or person who I played with, more as just one-off characters than anything else. Their designs stayed the same for the most part, except for a few differences between them. They are considered established in this sense, instead of spawned, but if the comic ever happens, it might just change. For now, they're just wishful thinking. I'll also be giving them actual player names, just like Sunny's, but for now, they're sort of unnamed. Alex is a farmer-based player who lives in a village while Ray lives in the snowy mountains with the winter foxes. If I ever make a video about the story they're from, I'll explain more about their old roles. Their body types are also the same, just loose-fitted clothes since they're casual about their life. The only armor Alex has are the boots, and I love that it fits him. Now why I decided to make Player and Sunny sort of the similar design and spawned is because, well, they just spawned in. Nothing about them really makes them unique in their own way. So with scraggly hair, wild hair, whatever you call it, and outfits that are sort of baggy, they look like the typical Minecraft body build you'd see in the game. I also made sure to base them off of Steve and Alex, with Player taking on the role of Steve and Sunny taking on the role of Alex. And then when later on, they do sort of have different hairstyles, much more different than their starting off point. They also have in addition to new outfits. Since Player is more of like a soldier or fighter type character, Sunny is more like an animal tamer compared to anybody else who I either thought of or drew. I didn't draw any of the villagers in the comic because I didn't have any idea for how to go about it. Plus I was more focused on the players themselves and not the stuff around them. Though that would have to change if I were to do this idea again. I'm a lot more experienced in how to do it instead of just going about it all willy-nilly and just ignoring all other bases of making a comic. Though I did draw cats and birds, and that was it. Everything else was just terrible background. As for additional details that didn't make it into the comic or I simply didn't care for, V had a lot of pets from what I remember. They had 2 parrots right off the bat when we first spawned in the jungle biome, and then eventually got a cat when we had a base in a desert village. It really wasn't much or anything. We had a specific place that we were trying to look for, but we settled on that. This page helped me remember that the reason why these two fought was because V said there were cats in the area, and I had to fight them to get fish and tame at least one of them before V got both of them. I was desperate to get a cat or anything because I tried to look for a green bird and name it Kiwi, but I just couldn't find one when we first spawned, and V took the only 2 birds that were just there. I don't remember which cat that I tamed, but it might have been the sandy cat. I don't know. Some of the animals I owned in the game did have names, and one of the cats was named after an angel, and one of the birds that I wanted, which was green, was named Kiwi, and that's the only one that I remember. Maybe if I look back I'll find more names. The A featured in the second page actually came back later when I first got my birds. You know, this egg right here. I actually did pick it up randomly because, I don't know, it was something. It was while V and I were traveling to our new place of residence that we had to travel across another jungle. The night coming quick and we decided to sleep instead of going ahead because V had a lot of dogs when they went out to find a new settlement, which was where the last comic was supposed to lead up to. And going through a dense jungle at night with a bunch of dogs and birds and a cat, maybe 2 cats, I think there were 2 cats, was so impossible for me that we just decided to sleep. However, when I got up from the bed when it turned daytime, there were just 2 parrots vibing nearby me and on top of my player model, and it was a blue and green bird. I was so excited to see a green bird, but before I did anything else, a creeper almost blew up and killed me instantly, and I was mortified when I heard the birds get hurt. And so they were just gone. I frantically searched for them as I collected seeds to tame them. And I first found the blue bird and then the green one afterwards. I literally headcanoned that they were both traumatized by the ambush, but Kiwi, the green bird, was even more traumatized by it because it was flying around sporadically. It was difficult to just tame this bird, while the blue one was just chill. It was horrifying. But then it turned into a parrot couple that loved the chicken egg I grabbed and wanted to hatch it, not knowing that the egg would never hatch. It was sad, but pretty wholesome. When we reached the village at that point, we let some people play the server, and eventually I got a new cat, the one I mentioned with the angel name. I don't remember what it was, but it started with the letter A. It was the white cat with the heterochromia eyes, and it was just a sweet little kitty. Cute little cat. Adorable. Now this is where the memory really starts failing me, because the last thing I remember was me and another player who I will call Chalcedony trying to fight the Ender Dragon to get an Elytra. And admittedly, we pretty much failed. Chalcedony rage quit the game after he died and became pretty mad by the event. I also died a little bit after, and I would have went back to try again, but the mood up was pretty low because Chalcedony had a lot of words to say about it. Admittedly, I really want this to come back, and as of this video, there will be an attempt made, despite our busy lives. I have improved on what I want to build, and my main goal is to make a Minecraft world that makes it lively. Plus, I haven't played the newest version completely, so fresh experiences all around for everyone. I'm particularly really wanting to make a village, or a couple of villages, themed after like a specific sort of thing. I love building so much and keeping a theme. And with the new trees and different sort of ideas that people have made over time, it's possible to make something quite, adorable or really cool. And with that wishful thinking, I should start talking about the world building I said before. And that means starting with the spawned and established titles I mentioned. Spawned players are essentially just that, just spawned. Though in Minecraft, they are not their own person and instead are based off the people playing through the characters. They have no agency. They don't know what they're doing. Whatever they make, build, or think is not their own. So basically, you will be seeing true events that are played out by the person playing as them. Even though that the player from the screen only sees their own skin, they don't really see the real character inside the screen, or something like that. Established players already have a main role, such as farmer, knight, tamer, or whatever else you can think that would fit in this game. I mean, this game is your sandbox, you can do whatever you want. And good grief, people really took that and did either the most amazing stuff, the funniest videos, or perhaps the most cursed image anyone could do. But moving on from that, established players have developed a personality at that point. Even though still controlled by the person playing through them, they have extended it further past the barrier, still maintaining a strong main trait from the person playing through them. Example being, when the character is too stubborn to go to sleep at night and wait until daytime to grab their stuff, and they get killed over and over again, then that's something that was a main trait of the person playing through them. As for the mobs themselves, nothing much changes from them aside from some redesigns to fit. If it seems fitting, maybe I'll do a part 2 of this story based around the mobs themselves, but for now they're just sketches. The only certain type of design about them is from the cover, which I don't really like them. Maybe for the Enderman, but The cats were pretty fun to draw back then, and doing shapes aside from just squares for triangles and some bend in just general blocky shapes, it made it a lot more easier to really relax into the style. The color palette was also very dull, so Making the redraw page was so much more satisfying and just showed how much I improved in making things more visually appealing. I mean, I love the background and the sand differences in this panel. The dialogue was what gets me half of the time, since it changed here and there. The size of the page also changed too, so it went from this to this. And I looked at it and went, yeah, I hate the quality. I'm still learning how to do text boxes and everything. So if I were to do this once again, I would have to try and settle on a sort of text panel that fits in with the comic series. And with that, I'd say that's about it that I got. There wasn't much to add since it's been so long, and I've kind of forgotten half or most of the things, because afterwards, when the failing of defeating the Ender Dragon happened, everybody sort of moved on and did their own thing. I don't know how long the server was up for, but I believe it was more than just 2 weeks. If I make the Minecraft server again, I'll be sure to keep everything together for an easier record, and maybe even post comics again, either on DeviantArt or Tumblr, or maybe comic sites in general. I know Webtoon is sort of at the moment, and Tapas is another comic site that I recognize, so they would probably be posted on any of those, or maybe all of them. That'll be a lot to remember. And if anybody were to ask if they could join in, I'm sorry, I don't think I'll be able to let everybody in if they were interested, because I'm more comfortable with friends who I know about instead of random people online, even though technically I don't technically, but Player and Sunny would return in a new life, and maybe some new characters too if I asked some of my friends, but I would have to make sure they, make sense in this sort of style. Just plopping them in as established or spawned would make it a little confusing, depending on how I want it to work. And who knows, maybe I'll make some nice little lore from the old comic and make that be relevant again. But that's about it. I don't have anything else to add, and I hope it was at least a little entertaining to ramble about what I made before. I have plenty of more stories. Some of them I have wrote down on a notepad, and there are going to be polls made on DeviantArt of which stories I should bring back to just ramble or, talk about. So if you're curious, I would recommend going to the description and seeing what I do, or what they're called. Some of them might be shorter than others, but at least they'll be a little entertaining, a little haha, that's so cute. So I hope you enjoyed the tour around the exhibit. I'll see you another day. Okay, I got your stupid corpse. What? I have to edit it? But it's your idea! Okay, you were telling me I went all the way to the graveyard, illegally dug up a corpse during a thunderstorm, and now I have to edit your video. You're actually insane. You little